Hi.
It feels like we've done this before.
I feel deja vu,
Yeah,
maybe?
a little Groundhog Day.
A little-
I don't know.
On a Tuesday. How are you, though?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah.
We've never really done an afternoon filming, by the way.
This is a little weird.
I know. I think
Is
I
it
liked
better
it.
or worse?
I think I liked it because it made me feel like I got all my stuff done. So now whatever happens,
You just have
I don't have this like pending
things
list in my
sitting
head.
over.
So
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And you've been really busy. You had an install yesterday. How did that go?
Oh my God, that was so fun.
It was. I just saw a little in your story. Wow.
It was one of those that you plan. Yeah, I journaled about that one. So I yesterday just like how it was going to go in a really positive, right? Segment intending of how the day wants to go. And it went just splendid. And I was so tickled. So
I was excited that I got to see you in the parking lot with your
waiting
son.
down. Yeah. Inappropriately
so
dancing for you.
Oh, it was a great dance. I loved it.
How was your shopping for the accessory shopping? It looks like you have filled up the studio. It's insanity over there.
It's if everybody could see my studio right now, it's insane. So we did all of the buy the accessories through market and trade resources, kind of the cool things that fit this project, and things that we haven't seen 100 million times, And so it's found shopping now.
Okay.
And found shopping, I don't know if this is this way for you, but it can go one of two ways. You can find 492 amazing things that would cost $1 trillion, or you can find very few things and you're like, what are we going to do now? Because I just hate when everything's the shine and new.
I know. And because you just went to market and you got to see all those new things, which I cannot wait to see what you've found and stuff, because it is we have seen the same stuff for a while. So it's almost like you could see it at we're just going to say it, Marshall's Home Goods or TJ Maxx. And then you also see it at our very high-end boutique. And it's the same kind of whatever it is, like a metal glasses or whatever's going to go in that bookshelf to make it interesting.
Yeah.
The price point's different and you have to scavenger hunt, but it's sort of that like some of those moments, which is why I love antique stores for that stuff.
Exactly.
Like you can find the coolest stuff and it's
books
just
and all of it.
And it's just different.
And it brings a whole different vibe to the project, right? And I think it's really important. And it's really important to make sure that you prep your client to make sure they have money left over to do that, because that's really expensive, but it is the thing that brings the storied wow factor.
Yes.
And super important. So we did well yesterday. We found something really, really cool, but it came in a set of 2, and the set of 2 priced us out. So we tried really hard to talk them into selling us just one. And that was a no, but I understand that. I tried really hard. I used all of my things.
Is it an iron or metal or anything like that? Because we might have a person here who could make you a duplicate. This might not be ready
just
for
maybe.
Week.
Yeah. Oh, that brings us to today. But first we got to talk about our wins. Like, what is your win?
Honestly, yesterday was a huge win. It was just, from the start with this particular client, everything was just spelled out the way, I wanted it. It was one of those where, of course, I wanted to work with them. They were really darling clients, but I was like,
where are we at?
I don't necessarily, if it's not the right fit. And it worked. And I kind of implemented a few things that I hadn't tried before, and that worked, which I loved. Getting 80% of the money at the very beginning of in their investment goal was right on track, and the construction went well, like every piece of it. So installing yesterday, and I mean, it was empty when we walked in yesterday, except for one piece that had to get delivered on a Saturday. And of course, Stash won't, they're not open. And then their piano, which we built a room around. And so to walk in I think we finally got there at 11, and we walked out at 4. So 5 hours.
Fast.
It was fast as
And it was just you and Josh and the staff, and I mean you and Jake and
Carrie and Carrie was there, and then Stash. But Stash came highly prepared, and there were 5 of them at one point. Yeah. So Bo's hanging art,
and Stash is your commercial receiver.
Yep, yep, and they were fantastic. And as a matter of fact, like 4 swivels that did it. We weren't sure if they were on the truck. That moment where you're like, please be on the truck. Anita called us first thing on yesterday morning. They were on the truck. They went to stash. They sent another truck back to grab them, so we didn't have – because there were a few things that weren't ready, but we had to get it in because travel and everything else, and I knew – but it just worked. So when we walked out, it was like, holy
that was a
shit.
Win.
This made me – I want to do this every damn day.
I'm so happy for
fun.
You. I would clap, but it'll reset our sound equipment.
No need.
I'm so
that was
happy
fun.
For you.
That was fun.
So
tell me a win.
We had this is a new win for me. Something that just happened yesterday. So we are about to install just this gigantic, overwhelming, amazing, spectacular project, and we had efforted everything to make sure everything's here. And then yesterday when we were looking for found things, Connor, the lead on this project, lead designer, looked at me and he goes, I don't know. I don't think, is the dining room art on our spreadsheet? Do we have that? And he looked and he goes, oh my gosh, Rainey. So, there's a whole lot of things that happened, but the long story short, it didn't get officially ordered. And the minimum time with this vendor is 2 weeks, period. I mean, it's just 2 weeks. And so I got on the phone and I was like, part of the communication was definitely on me. Of course, everything's always ultimately on me, but so I begged and begged and begged, and she called me at like 7:00 last night, and our rep, which is a reason why you have great relationships with your reps, because they love you and know you and want you to have nice things.
That's it. Anita busting her butt for those. Yep, it's true. Yep.
And she said, Rainey, if you pay for it right now, we will get it to you next Tuesday. And so this morning at 9:00, I was at our framer. I had all the specs of what this art is going to be. We picked the framing. So the glass will be cut, the framing will be there, and within 2 hours, they'll turn it and we'll hang it that afternoon for final staging on Wednesday, since the photo shoot starts Thursday. And so that is a win. I mean, relationships in life are important, right?
Absolutely.
In our industry, they're also important.
I do, not that relationships in life are not as important, but in those moments, like, sometimes I feel like I could fill my house with people for a great party but I wouldn't think who I would ask to take my dog to the vet sometimes, right? But I know who I'd call for all, so
all
it's like.
All the things.
I love that, that relationship moment, and that they come back because you've been good to them, though.
Yeah.
So is this framer the same one who's done some of these pieces that are in here
all
that
of
make
them.
my head all
right?
Of it, which you're gonna have to share in the show notes or something if you want to share them.
And
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, they are just amazing. And Scott was like, I walked in and I must have looked like a deer in the headlights, and he goes, "My favorite person is here, and she's needy." I was like, I am. Could you tell the look? But anyway. So that is a great segue into what we're doing today.
Which is so exciting. Yes.
Right.
Yes,
so
I can't wait to get him back on here.
We have Levi Stovall, who owns Peck and Company. And Peck and Company is a vendor that is new to me and has been spectacular. And he does some really, really cool shit. And so we said, can you come and be on our podcast and talk to people and other designers about what it is you do? And he said, I sure will. And if you need me to come twice, I will.
And if there's a third time, well, I don't know about that.
That's it.
So excited. I can't wait to hear.
So excited to introduce him to you and talk about what he does. And so we'll reset the stage and bring him on.
Let's go.
All right. Oh, welcome, Levi. You are here again to tell us about all the wonderful things that you do, and thank you for that. We cannot thank you enough. So the first thing is tell us, what in the world does Peck and Company do?
Oh, that's a good question. The answer is something I've been struggling with for years. I've kind of refined it down to we are glorified blacksmiths. Really high-end metal manufacturing for interior designers and architects. We build everything from beds, vent hoods, fireplace screens, consoles, interior, exterior lighting, and drapery hardware.
So
wow.
I want to see pictures of everyone. Yeah. And in that broad, I know well, I guess we can start with the company and how long you've been with Peck & Co. and kind of your journey to get there. But I want to see pictures too.
Sure. So my journey with Peck & Company, I would say, or towards Peck & Company started in high school. I took a metal fab class and just fell in love with the process, everything about it. And when I went to art school in Boston, Massachusetts, I got a job at a fabrication shop doing spiral staircases, balconies, fancy ironwork. And the guy really took me under his wing, taught me how to do the fabrication, prep, paint, and then the admin side, quoting, meeting with clients, getting material costs, putting together proposals. And 2009, recession, I moved back to Houston and decided to start my own company. I was a one-man show for about 3 years. I sort of was working with another company that was outsourcing a lot of ironwork to Monterey, or from Monterey. And that got a little lonely being a one-man show. I found Peck & Company, and I started there as a project manager, sales. And Bill kind of joked from the beginning that I was Bill Peck. Bill Peck's started Peck & Company in 1987, the year I was born. And he kind of joked from the beginning that this is the guy that's going to buy me out. He was nearly 70 at the time. And after a couple of years, that idea kind of germinated, really took root. And we put together a proposal. And January 2019, I took over.
That's insane.
Right? And you were at another location, right?
Yes.
When that happened.
Yes,
we were in
our Montrose Midtown area where the company had started. January of last year, I bought a 25,000 square foot facility where we relocated in October.
So wait, I want to go back though, because I think the high school, the metals in high school, what is this, like, how did you get into that? Just because it's such a tell us that journey, just because it's nothing standard metal shop, or maybe it is, I don't know.
Well, at the time I was I had already intended to pursue a career in fine arts.
Okay.
So painting, drawing, sculpting, I was always very, hands-on. And so when I took the fabrication class, it was almost like a whole nother medium for me. And
so it's like wood shop or home ec or something like that.
Okay.
It was one of your classes during the day.
I love that your school had that, though. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was a great class. I mean, the odd thing about it was, out of 5,000 students, I was the only one interested in a NASA-sponsored program where they were going to teach us how to TIG, do a sponsorship, scholarship, and then a job offer after school. I was the only one out of 5,000 students interested, so they went to one of our rival schools.
So then, wait, 5 out of 5,000 kids?
One.
Only you.
Yeah.
The other, I gotta know where those kids ended up. But so what did
they don't own Peck & Company?
Well, to be honest with you, had I taken that course and had I pursued it, I'd probably just be still behind a hood, welding away for somebody.
Oh my!
So what's a TIG?
It's just one of the processes in which you can fuse metal.
So do you work with does your shop work with all metals?
We're really driven by design, you guys. So whatever's in, you tell us what you want, and if we don't know it, we're going to learn it. Our bread and butter is really traditional blacksmith work. But about 10 years ago, we had a client come in, say they wanted something built out of brass. We learned how to fabricate brass. So we work with brass, stainless, copper, steel. We do plating, powder coating. We have over 150 finishes, faux finishes to choose from. We do all our paint work in-house.
So you work with designers, just designers and build. If somebody just off the streets found your beautiful 25,000 square foot place?
I would say the percentages is probably close to 85% designers, 10% builders, 5% homeowners.
Okay.
Interesting. And your favorite, I'm guessing, is to work with designers because they have a vision, right?
They have a vision. They're very great at managing expectations. You guys have the resources and the know-how to get things from point A to point B, a chandelier hung by a certified electrician, or how to move a 350-pound table base that gets a 500-pound stone top from point A to point B without it getting beat up. So it's you guys are you definitely the preferred.
We're the shit.
That's amazing. Okay, so with the chandelier, do you guys, and you mentioned lighting, but do you do the actual electrical? And
yes, so we do start to finish, fabrication, prep, paint, electrical. We can get items UL certified.
For gas or electricity.
Yes.
Wow.
Gas, getting stuff UL certified for gas is not a big demand. But we do wire everything using UL certified components, processes. Getting it certified is just a little extra step, just depending on what's required.
Okay.
So my introduction. So I've got 2 projects in-house with you guys right now and then 2 coming. But my first thing was a custom vent hood. And it was very interesting to me that we created sort of the box for this vent hood. And then you guys created sort of a sideways U-shaped almost skin for it.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't come and do the measuring. We had to do the measuring for you.
That's correct.
And which was an interesting part of the process and totally understand why. And then the second thing, I went to your location and it's this shop and you just walk in and I compare it to like if Alice in Wonderland walked into a metal shop. It is on the walls, hanging in the air, everywhere. There's these things on racks that are just amazing. And you're just like walking. I mean, I just had to, my jaw was on the floor. And then you go into this little side room that you guys have set up so nicely with meeting tables. And I met with Jose, who I think is your like lead.
Yes, project lead.
And so what I brought to him was we have this client and one of their hobbies is leather working or leather tooling. And so they made chaps for a costume party. It was a midnight cowboy costume party, but they went over the top with these chaps. And so they wanted to display them sort of like art, but also be able to use them again. So, of course, I'm an interior designer, and every interior designer out there will understand this. My first thought is, I take it to a framer and they put it in a shadow box. Right. They just tack it. Well, you can't take them out and put it back in, number one. Number two, chaps are like ginormous, especially when they're hung properly and the legs flare out. And so this door to this thing was going to be bigger than like a walkway. So it was a no-go. So I brought him back, laid him here in the studio, and Connor reminded me, Rainey, you've got to figure out these chaps. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just met with Peck & Co. about this vent hood. Maybe they can make me something. So I jumped in the car and met with Jose, and he drew it. It wasn't a very detailed drawing, but it was like, this is what we can do. We can do a narrow waist holder, and then at the bottom, we'll create these standoffs that'll hold the legs from the back, and it'll look like the chaps are free floating on the wall. And then you can take them off at any time and just put them right back on so easily. All I know is all the things he said sounded spectacular. I was like, yes.
2.
Yeah, right. Well, no, when he told me the cost, I was like, we will take one. And people be so thankful for the one. But they are rushing them for us, right? Because what is your lead time, your typical lead time?
Typical lead time's 8 to 10 weeks.
8 to 10, and they're doing these in like 2.5.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So, but they're going to be spectacular, and I can't wait to share them. And then the other thing we have coming up is we're going to lift a buffet and a couple of nightstands because sometimes we find the perfect thing and they're low, especially if they have European design or they're for like a bedside nightstands that are for a platform bed or something, but they're the perfect design. And so you just need to lift them. So we're going to have you guys make some legs and stuff for us. But anyway, unbelievable resource. So
to that point, so the vent hood sounds amazing, and then you've got the chaps holder, and then you've just got legs. So kind of a vast jump from kind of grand and then very not utilitarian. They're going to be amazing, but like smaller scale.
You don't see them.
Sure.
Things you don't see. Mm-hmm.
You'll do anything. Like, is there any scope or any job where you're like that? That's either too small or too big, or have you come across that before?
I think the main thing is just managing the client's expectations.
Okay.
I mean, trying to quote out a stand for some chaps when we've never built that before is a little bit difficult. So we try to give you an approximation, and then we can argue about price later.
We can arm wrestle for it.
But oftentimes, I mean, same from the fine arts world. You can make a sculpture, but if there's not a good way to display it, so that's for the chaps. For geodes, we did a series of work for the MFA for display shadow boxes, bases for shadow boxes, frames for different sculptures, so we're getting our hands on stuff that it feels illegal, and then we're making a $350 base for it.
I want to have a job where somebody says, "What do you do?" and you say, "I do stuff that feels illegal." Oh, that is a goal.
That needs to be a bumper sticker. It's coming your way from Etsy. No, that's insane though. But the base is going to be $350, and the piece it's holding is like priceless or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
In so many ways, these chaps, or whatever the thing is, whether it's truly that or a sentimental moment. So that is really, really cool.
That is
I
awesome.
love it.
Is there a thing that you've made, I'm wondering, that just really sticks out that you're like, that's my favorite thing I ever made?
It's like children.
Mm-hmm.
I've got 2 kids. You can't really pick a favorite, but on certain days there's some that are more than others.
Like one a little better. Yeah.
My main thing is just how much you appreciate the work. That's where I get fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
Is when we exceed your expectations.
Mm-hmm. There was a couple in when we were about to design the chat holder, and they had brought in like this antique, really cool table, and they were asking you guys to make a match. And it was interesting to hear Jose talk to him, because they're like, we can absolutely match this design. But if you want the finish to match, this metal has been aging. It has a patina on it that is, 150 years old. We can't match that. But we can refinish both of them to have the same finish. And so do you have a lot of requests like that?
Yeah, patinas are a living finish. I mean, that's a science that we're not too savvy with. But as far as, matching, locking in, I mean, we can faux it to look the same. But if you have a 150-year-old brass patina, tomorrow it's going to be different.
Yeah.
Just from you bringing it to us and putting your hands on it is going to speed up that process.
So to that point, because I think a lot of people don't maybe understand which metals do patina and which don't, or are there any that don't? Like, we're familiar with copper, obviously, and what that can do and be. Yeah. But are all metals patinaing over time into that drastic as like a copper?
Well, like I said, the patina is a science that we're not too familiar with. But yes, I mean, everything does change over time. Even if you have a piece of steel that's got a lacquer coat on it, it's going to kind of go from that cold steel look to more of a rustic, orangey hue to it underneath. Brass, copper, zinc obviously is a great one. And
love that.
So they all kind of do fun things. You can patina stainless, you can patina steel, so they all will take a patina.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of like, we don't supply wood tops, we don't do marble tops, stone tops, because your idea of good marbling or wood grain or knot placement is completely different than mine. We stay away from it. Patina is kind of the same.
Metal is your lane.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Metal, faux finishing it, getting it, painted. We do an automotive 3-coat process with epoxy that, really locks that finish in there. So
it's amazing. And so I'm interested. So you went from being in the shop all day, every day, to now you're the owner and you have to do the owner things, right? Do you miss being in the shop? Do you get time in the shop?
Today is definitely one of those days where I feel like I have a kick me sign taped to my back. The city of Houston stopped by. They had some questions.
They
thought that illegal stuff.
We're doing some property tax protesting right now. So there's that stuff that's not so fun. So somebody's got to do it. I guess I might as well be the one to throw myself on the grenade.
So rough.
But you do get time in the shop sometimes?
I do. And to be honest with you, I mean, my kids grew up in both shop locations, so we even love to come in on the weekends and just kind of kick tires and look at stuff. And it's a good time for some photo ops and just memories to
That's
be built.
really... So will you let them play with it and kind of make... So what is sort of the safest, I don't know, not application even, but just tools for them to be able to do? Because I think that is so cool for kids to be able to... I mean, some of it's so bendable. Can they just do stuff with their hands and
Yeah, I mean,
or...
I haven't gotten too much into the shop with letting them play with metal or power tools just yet. They are
How old are they?
7 and 5.
Oh yeah, power tools probably not.
Yeah,
That's like till at least 8 and 6.
Especially,
I thought you started that at 2. I don't know.
What's wrong with me?
At home it's a different story. But there's a liability issue.
Yeah, the shop.
But both my kids are very artistically inclined. We've got a little art station for them at home. They're just always creating. So I'm confident one day my daughter will run the business and my son will be working for her.
I love that. Say, son, be careful. You're gonna be calling her boss.
Which one's older?
My son.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's even gonna be better.
Yeah. So is your wife artistic?
She is. We actually met at the Art Institute of Boston.
Oh.
And both her parents are artists.
Oh, wow.
And so what does she do in the art world?
She is now working with the company, with Peck and Company. She's managing the social media marketing side of things, and then she'll be getting more involved with our First Dibs sellers page.
Okay. So that's great to know for people who maybe aren't in Houston, but you ship everywhere. Any designer can just, especially since they can just send measurements.
Yeah. So as far as
custom,
shipping goes, I mean, we really, again, that's why we prefer working with designers, because you guys know all the movers, all the packers, all the shippers. But yeah, if somebody in New York's buying a table from us, we can link them up with some local companies that will actually come out, crate it, freight it, and get
Freighters
it.
and freighters,
There
baby.
you go. There you
Freighters
go.
and freighters, that's the one.
Good friends.
Gosh, that's so... But so Boston, for her, is she from Texas too?
She's from Connecticut.
Oh, what does she feel about Texas? How's she like it out here?
She is, I don't think she could ever go back to the north.
Really?
Wow. Okay.
Good.
Interesting.
Maybe summers, not so much the
winters.
winters. Yeah.
But there, I mean, you've got both extremes on those too,
So
right?
tomorrow, when we're going to have, I think, the heat index of 105, she's going to be thinking.
Yeah. They've already got a little trip planned. My mother-in-law now lives here in Houston. They've got a trip to go visit back home, and but this is where I thrive. I'm cold-blooded. I like to.
This is it
for you. Yeah, like a lasered out there.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
So I have a question. Since I do the measurements, or I tell Jose that I want this chaps holder that floats on the wall, how do you guys make sure? What are your processes to make sure that you deliver what's in my brain?
Sure.
That we sort of share a brain, and you're sort of protected in that way. What is that process?
Well, like you said, Jose did a little sketch for you. That's kind of to make sure we're on the same page when we're doing the quoting process. When it comes time to do an order, we actually, Jose brought to the table when he came on several years ago, SolidWorks. So we're actually able to put together a 3D isometric drawing of what you're going to get, along with all of our shop drawings. And so not only do you get that, you get the little write-up description of what we're going to get. But we do QC every step of the way: fabrication, prep, finish, final inspections as well. And the client has the opportunity to come in to the shop, see things, even if we have a question. Yours is going to be a great example. We'll probably mock it up in the shop. You come in, take a look at it, and you can say, I want a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Since it goes on the wall in, I don't know, 6 days, how's mine coming?
Augustine's working on it.
I'm excited.
I love Augustine.
And then I received that email, and I had to sign off on it before you guys.
Yes.
And you did have a range for me. You did not have a solid quote. And it was because it was not like drapery hardware that we can all understand and quantify. It's something brand new and that we've dreamt up. And so you were like, this is the range. And
it's what I call a weird ask.
A weird ask. I love that.
We build... we have clients who come in with photographs, magazine clippings. A lot of folks come in with just an idea in their head, and we're sketching it out. But when you're building a table, you can kind of compare to a similar design and get a good idea on, as far as the legacy goes, what it costs for us to build it, time, material, etc. But some of these weird ones where you don't really know, is it going to take 3 or 6 hours in fabrication to get this thing to do what you want it to do?
Mm-hmm.
And so would you ever come up, because so I love my measuring tape. It's so big and it goes in every purse I have. But I don't always trust my measuring. I mean, there's been so many times where I've done measuring myself for the curtains for instance, and then I'm in there just like, oh God, please grow. Please grow before she walks in and sees it's 2 inches off the point. Yeah. But so would you, for a fee, come out and do that measurement? Or no, you just
we
hope
will.
that the people who are coming to you know their shit?
To be honest with you, we prefer we start at the start at the end, I guess. Whoever's going to be the one installing it really should be involved in the early process. They can actually get you the measurements. Oftentimes they can build you a template that gives them an opportunity to talk to us about how we're going to make it, what they need as far as brackets, mounting locations, etc. So there's a lot that goes on, as you know.
That's what you had our millwork guy. You had us build a box, talk to us about the template or the box for the vent hood. And then he took the measurements and gave them to you. But I thought that whole process was really, really interesting. And then I also learned you do not do installation.
That's
you
correct.
are happy to give a couple names and let people suss it out, but you are not installing that bad boy.
That's correct. About 50% of our business is actually drapery hardware. So we primarily work with drapery workrooms. But they're doing the measurements, they're doing the sewing on the rings, they're doing the installation. Yeah. So that's a big part of it right there. We just really have to trust the measurements, trust the client, they know what they're doing. And but yeah, as far as fabrication goes, furniture, light fixtures, oftentimes you need a certified electrician to hang a chandelier. Oftentimes on a table, you'll still have wood or stone that's going on it. So that'll need to go to those guys. So we're really kind of the early stage, hands off, homebodies. We just do what we're told kind of guys.
So then with the workroom, for instance, that process, the designer obviously checked, orders or designs the rod. And then are you then in cahoots with the workroom because they know, okay, this is a fabric, so we need these rings to be X because the rod needs to be X to hold this? Or whatever. So you're then with them talking and deciding.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So the designer doesn't necessarily have to carry this entire.
Oftentimes what they'll say is the designers can come in and they're going to pick a finial and a finish. So that's really makes life so much easier for you. You just kind of come in and get to do the fun stuff. They get to take all the liability as far as measurements, incorrect ring quantity. Yeah.
So that's going to be the same for like a table. If you're going to have a stone countertop, you don't know how much that's going to weigh. You have to find out how much that's going to weigh to make sure that your table base is structurally sound or that's not going to cantilever or whatever. Interesting.
Yeah. So then if in fact, has there been a moment where that hood, like something went awry in a measurement and you go for that skin to go on and it's just like.
More often than not, yes.
Okay. What happens there? Is that, I mean, it's not about pointing fingers, but are you like, okay, yeah, we've got it. Well, can you add to anything
that's
like
a beautiful thing about steel. Once the cabinets are in, if that hood is cabinet to cabinet, and the cabinet guy and the vent hood guy start at the same time, they better hit that nail right on the head. But if that opening is off half inch, vent hood doesn't fit, it's going to be a lot easier for us to cut, add, subtract, whatever the case may be, put everything back together, finish it back out. So it fits right back in there versus ripping out a whole wall of cabinets.
I'm always interested in this because I know where I stand in my career. Have you ever wanted to quit doing what you're doing? I know you're like 12, but
you got to see his face. We know you're not because we did the math and you were born in 87, but you have this business is good for you because
you're 38
keeps
and
me young.
You are thriving.
Yeah.
Keeps me young. I mean, I've always been an entrepreneur. In high school, I was screen printing. I was making T-shirts, record labels, CD covers. It was always great leaving the lunchroom with $300 cash.
You had a fat wallet.
Having missed lunch, I'd be a little bit hungry, but that was all right. But so this,
I love that.
I love it.
Really is a great fit. I mean, I actually was having the discussion with my wife last night. I couldn't see myself doing anything else. I have a very visual brain. Every time I even try to picture something, it just doesn't appear. So
I think that says it so well because people, our industry is similar. And so if I ever even, there might be one or two things, but it's definitely still in the same moment of this, like to picture yourself in this other thing. Like we're visual and we can't picture it. I love that you even said it like that because it's totally true. We envision all kinds of random shit all the time. And if that's one thing you can't pick out, that's cool. Would you ever, when the kids own it, just go back to just creator and kind of hands or?
I honestly get the satisfaction now. I've got such a talented team that it's almost like the company's become my project, my art project. So,
How many employees do you have?
21.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you started back in, am I doing the math? It was 09 plus 3, 19. How many were you? How many were there?
About 24, I believe.
Okay.
How many when you started at Peck?
Anywhere between 21 and 24.
Okay. So it's been a big operation for a very long time. Well done, Bill.
Yeah. It was
I did not know that it was that big of a thing. Because when you go in there, you might. So the 2 times that I've been there, or 3, I've only seen maybe 5 or 6 people. But that's because I guess they're in the fabrication or the development part.
Correct.
Okay.
So then in that, so how many are creatives or building and how many are drawing? And
5 administrative staff, sales, drafting, purchasing, and the rest are fabricators, prep, finishers, electricians. I've got shipping and receiving, so shop foreman. There's just a lot of little moving parts.
I didn't think about that.
That's amazing. Where do you get your metals from, or where?
Is that top secret?
Other places.
Yeah. It all really depends on the job. So sometimes a real simple table just has 1-inch square tubing. Depending on the design that's in your head, you may want like a real squared edge mechanical tubing. 1-inch square tubing is 1-inch square tubing, but they come in all different shapes and sizes. So it really all depends on the job. What it's being used for. Is it more structural, or is it more mechanical or architectural steel? So there's actually quite a few vendors. I mean, we're buying materials from New Jersey to Galveston.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool though.
So I've never really thought about that before. So when I walk into a restaurant, the first thing I do is find out if there's sound absorption in the space and how the person, either the architect or designer, dealt with sound and pending sound doom, or if it was ignored. And you'll find that out when you're at the restaurant for just a few minutes, but it's one of the first things I look at. Do you just constantly walk around and look at things that are made of metal and identify the materials and how they're made? And
oh yes.
I bet your eye is so in the critical eye in the best way, but
yes. I mean, no job is perfect. Every job that we do, I criticize how can we do it better, especially since most of what we do is a prototype, right? I mean, you're coming in with an idea, we make it. Can you improve upon it next time? Yes. And so that's why I'm constantly looking at and comparing how we do things versus what I'm seeing out in the wild. And I try to adopt and implement some of that, or just ask questions. Social media is a great tool too. I mean, there's so many different, I'd say competitors, but in reality, especially in the art world, if I'm Picasso and you're Van Gogh, are we competitors, or we're all
I love that.
We
talk
pursuing
about that
the same
a lot.
passion,
right?
Yeah.
Right.
So, but what practices are they implementing? What processes? And a lot of times you can reach out to some of these people, messaging them, and they'll give you real answers.
Oh, that's really nice. I was going to ask if you have competitors or who in this industry, locally or otherwise, that you kind of come up against sometimes, as far as because it's a very niche. In what you're doing, it seems very niche.
I mean, so we stay away from ranch gates, balconies, stairs, really anything that's going to require you to go out there and do field measurements, do installations, stuff like that. Because spiral staircases, curved walls, stuff like that requires a lot of fabrication in the house, making a template, and that's very scary with travertine and stone and wood and
You're not doing it.
We don't want to. No,
I love that. Yeah, it's a lot of pressure. Yeah,
but with a lot of those guys, same. I mean, they'll reach out to us for maybe they are building a staircase, but they need an intricate part forged, a particular design. So we may only be 5% of that project, but it's kind of like
a monogram or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because everybody's the iron doors that were all the very ornate, and people are like not wanting those quite as much. But if you say cut that out of an iron door, and then you have this ledge, and so what do we put in it? So that would be something that you could create that could go in and take that place
yeah.
to retrofit
that door, so you're not having to redo the whole entire door.
And that's actually the beautiful thing about the iron doors is those do just lift right off those hinges. They can be brought to us. We can cut that piece out, add a new piece. We could even prefab it, knowing those dimensions. So that's kind of an idea I've never even thought about. So I'm going to implement that.
Well, because I might be doing this with you together because there's a door. Anyways, because that's the question. So, for instance, let's just play. If that was the case, and say we templated it and you knew, and you had to take the doors off, but people live there and their house has all their belongings, so you don't want it off for too long. How long then to just put it in? And I love to say run a bead and get that thing back in, back installed. Is that?
Well, if you and I played our cards right, you could give us that template of that opening. We could prefab the piece, prefab it, prep it, finish it. Door comes in. All we have to do is tack that in there, touch up those welds, and it can go back in same day.
That's what I'm talking
dying
about.
Right now.
There.
You just made me so, and my client, so happy that we don't have to do the.
I'm pretty sure this is happening.
Yeah. That's
nobody likes the plywood doorway with the chain keeping it locked.
That's not a look anybody wants to walk up to.
And nobody sleeps that night, right?
No.
Nobody that's but the kids, maybe. So this has been so fascinating. I've learned so much more about you and what you do, and intrigued by it all. And it's got me thinking, how can I use you more as a designer to take cool things to my clients? So I'm curious, is there anything else that you want us to know about you, your family, Peck & Company that you haven't already told us?
Well, I do encourage anyone and everyone to come by our new location. It's just around the corner here from the Design Center. We're 8321 Hempstead Road. And see what we can do. Just talk, look around. We have a tremendous antique iron collection. A lot of those pieces can be modified and retrofitted. We call it purgatory. It's kind of waiting for its, the next chapter of its life. And some of my favorite projects have come out of there. But really, we just encourage folks to get involved in the process, to not be afraid to come down with an idea, even if it's sketched on a napkin. We'll take care of them start to finish.
And what is your Instagram handle again?
It's Peck_and_company.
Oh, okay.
Peck & Company.
And you post projects and all sorts of things there.
Well, to be honest with you, you post projects and tag us.
You.
And
okay.
we repost
okay.
So.
And are you guys currently on Cherish or One Dibs? I'm sorry. First Dibs?
First Dibs, yes.
I just made up a new business.
One Dibs.
Yeah, One Dibs. Are you on there now? I know you said Jordan was going to be maybe starting more so, but
we're looking to we put on some test items, but we're looking to basically get our inventory on there so people can actually take a look at it. We're heading into those 110-degree days.
Yeah,
nobody wants to be out in the sun lifting heavy iron.
No, you included, I'm sure, even though you love the sweltering. This has been so fantastic. My head is on fire
with all of the ideas. We cannot thank you enough for coming by the studio and talking to us and helping to sort of reframe what we think about bringing custom items to our clients. And
it doesn't I love that you even gave, and it might have just been a throw out number, but $350, say, for a base that's going to hold this statue up. Because not everybody, you hear custom and you hear what you do and it's 8 weeks or something. It does evoke something like,
so I can tell you my chaps holder is nowhere near $300.
Well, I have no doubt. But if somebody did have something that just needed lifting and it was a simpler process, it's not going to say be like a chaps holder. It's not.
Right. It's not going to be a car.
Right.
The cost of a car.
Yeah. So I think, that's nice to know that,
it's approachable.
Baby designers or whoever it is can just be
in
like.
In all of our pricing, it's like I said, it's our best guess. But somebody can easily say, hey, well, how can we get this to meet my budget? Because there might be details that we're putting in there that you don't know or care about. We treat all our welds, by basically making them go away. We try to grind, sand, Bondo, smooth them out, make it nice and smooth and pretty. But we do have different detail levels, detail level 1, 2, and 3. So that a lot of that is really just that communication.
Okay.
Love
that is huge.
Love that.
Thank you for sharing that.
Well, thank you again.
Pleasure.
I know you've got a business to get back and run, so thank you so much for coming in and seeing us, and look forward to doing more business with y'all.
Looking forward to it.
Hopefully that meeting today with the city goes just as you and
it's perfect.
You get that exemption like you're hoping.
Yeah.
We're so grateful for you. Thank you, though, truly,
Thank you
for
very
coming
much.
in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, my God, that was so freaking awesome. Okay, so then the cameras turned off, and then we got this other stuff.
And then we got this other stuff out of him.
We are even more excited about. Okay, so he's done. We
we just said goodbye to him, but he stood here and he talked to us about a couple of things.
Yeah.
And one of the things that he shared was that after he graduated from high school, I think, and before he went to Boston College, was that the timeline? Something, or maybe while he was in high school, his mom was very interested in some ornate decorative metalwork.
I think it was that he was doing the FFA. So the reason the metal shop was basically child labor, but doing all of the grids. What are they? Oh God, he said it.
The rails for the gates.
For the gates, and then the tracks on the ground. So it was very rigid and a little bit more rudimentary.
Yeah.
So he didn't get so then she
took him. So, so I guess at school, he said they were basically using us in that high school class as child labor, which I thought was so funny. But then his mom took him somewhere to see some other things, and a whole new world opened up to him, which sort of led him down his metal path. So when he freaking goes back to interview with Bill Peck, it was a 4-hour interview. And during that interview, it hit him that was the place his mom had taken him. And he said to Bill, "You're going to hire me. I'm supposed to work here.
But
this
there was
is
an
my
expletive,
destiny."
which is the best thing
The
ever.
best
He told him
ever.
the F, and he did tell him because it was a 4-hour interview.
Yeah.
But,
and then he said his wife was calling him like 27 times because she thought he had been kidnapped and killed, because I think the interview was from like 8 p.m. to midnight or something.
It was crazy. But the fact his mom took him so he could see the more ornamental side of this
stuff.
The screens and the scrolling and the things that are not this like very square
and
thing.
it was Bill Peck.
How crazy. And now he owns the company, and his kids the universe, dude.
I just can't even.
And his mom took him there. That's
and his
a good
mom took. What a great
good
mom.
What a great mom.
I know.
Moms
So
are
if
good.
Levi's mom is listening, you're
well
fantastic.
done. That was
right.
You just gave that. Yeah, I mean, you knew back then.
So amazing.
Such a gift. I love that.
But I'll tell you, one of the most important things that makes designers, from good designers to great designers, is the makers that we engage with. And the way that we use what it is that they're good at, and they stay in their lane like Levi does. And they help us to create things that we design sometimes in our sleep, or we don't even know where they came from, but we get to gift this to a client as a brainchild. And what a great interview.
Honestly, he reframed how we look at these pieces that we thought we had outgrown, don't work in the space, all of these things that he can lift, bulk up. I'm tickled pink in these doors. I can't even tell you. I can't wait to get these.
It's going to happen.
Get that scroll out. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Stay
It
tuned.
really is. Well, thank you so much for joining us. If you want to tell us what you think about this episode, or tell us other things that you'd like to hear us talk about, please reach out to us at hello@reframingdesign.com, or you can follow me at Rainey Richardson Interiors on Instagram.
And I am Cassandra_brand_interiors on Instagram. And you can either message us if you wanted to, like Rainey said, say anything, or the art we don't have on ones when we're doing our interviews. But again, if you are interested now in art or have something you'd like to share, please let us know. We would love to have your stuff here and share. But
we would love
please
that.
share our stuff on wherever you can listen to your podcast.
Yes, like us, subscribe, share, because that's how we get to do what we love. And we hope you enjoyed this episode even half as much as we did.
I loved it. My brain's
Loved
on
it.
fire. Brain on fire.
I see you next time,
Okay,
friend.
love you. Mwah.
Mwah.
last year, I bought a 25,000 square foot facility where we relocated in October.
Just spit on.
It's what I call a weird ask.
A weird ask.
A weird ask.
That.
It's you know,
which is different than a weird ass.
I had to listen twice. I was like, it's a weird ass. It is like a weird ass. Like, I don't know which was coming as high as
at least I didn't say you have a weird ask. I said that's what you call a weird ask.
Weird ask.
Ask.
Much better at clapping than me.
I'm a good clapper.